On this video, I want to show you everything about the Concept2 Model D rower, which I think is the best rowing machine that you can buy right now. Okay, so real quick, before we begin on the Concept2 Model D rowing machine review, be sure to like and subscribe this video. I also do different reviews for other products and workouts and exercises and things like that, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any videos on anything like that. And then be sure to like if you found this video useful, and let's get into the review. Okay, so looking at this from the outside, pretty much you have your standard stuff for a rowing machine. So you have your seat, handle, little spot for your feet, and then damper, monitor, flywheels inside, and then there's also a couple wheels that you can use at the front to move it around. So those are a couple different things that most rowers have, so there's not anything different. What's different about it is probably the quality of each one of these things, so we'll get into that a little bit more in just a minute. But one thing that's going to be a huge difference between most rowers, there's a couple of them that have this feature, but there's a handle right here that I'll show you a little bit more close up in a second. But this handle, if you need to store this rower in a smaller space, you can just lift this handle up and the rower comes apart. So whenever it comes apart, you can just store it in two different spots, or just two different ways. So whenever I lift here, you lift all the way up, that comes up, and then this comes apart. So if you have small ceilings or something like that, and you need to store it, and then you can just pick this up. So I can just pick it up with one hand, so it's not heavy at all. You can just store it, and it's below my height, so you don't even have to worry about any type of high ceilings or anything like that. So if you don't have high ceilings, this would be a great way to just store it this way, all right? So you can just lift the handle up. Once you lift it up, it just comes apart, and then same thing, you'll lift the handle up, and you'll put it back together, all right? Okay, so to put it back in, I would suggest putting this part down first, and then you can bring this in. But all you do is just lift this handle up, and then put it right back to where it was. So they start to go right back to where it was, and then slide it in, and then it's back in. So you don't have to worry about doing anything else. The seat will slide back. So just make sure it's locked in, and it's simple to take apart and put back together. So you see, you can take it apart, put it together. But if you don't want to worry about that, you can also just slide up and sit it up just like that. All right, so it can stand up pretty tall. I don't know if you can even see the top of it. But if you don't really have small ceilings or anything like that, you don't really want to take it apart or do anything, you can just pick it up, put it up, and it'll stay right there. So you don't have to worry about it falling down or anything. So those are a couple things that you can do with this. They're pretty good for storage-wise. So we'll get into now more of the other stuff that we have. So whenever you want to move it, there's two wheels in the front that you can move. So you'll pick it up, lean it forward. You can grab these two handles back here, push it forward, turn it, whichever way. Real easy to move, and then you'll set it down. And it has rubber padding on the bottom of them. So once you set it down, you won't be able to really move it that much side to side or anything. So that's a good thing for whenever you place it. It actually stays, so that's good. And then the seat, since it's at an angle, it automatically comes back to the very beginning. All right, so you don't have to adjust or like move it around or anything like that. Once you're done, it goes right back to where it started, just because it's at a slight angle as you go down. And it's real easy to move back and forward. So it slides really easily. You just want to make sure you keep up with it right here. So you want to make sure this is wiped down and oiled up every so often. But really easy to move, very slick, and it goes up and down. So that would be the seat part of this. As far as comfortability, it's a little bit comfortable. It's a little bit, so it's kind of like a harder foam, basically. And so sitting on it for long durations of time, well, it might get a little uncomfortable just because the seat isn't like super padded or anything. So it's not super soft, but I think it's good enough to where you can stay on it for a while. I usually do 20-minute rows sometimes, and I've done fine with it, so it's not too bad. I think any longer than like 30 minutes or so, you'll start to really feel it. So that's the only thing with the seat part of it, but we'll get into now kind of the handles and foots and stuff like that. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of preview on how it rows. I'm gonna strap in real quick, do a couple strokes. So it's real smooth. The flywheel starts to spin immediately, so you don't have to pull the slack or anything like that. So once you start to pull, flywheel starts to pull, starts to rotate, and you don't have to do a few rounds before you start going. So that's a really good thing about it. And so that helps a lot whenever you just want to start and begin to row. And if you're especially doing competitions or anything like that, that's a great feature part. Okay, so we're going to get into the foot pedals basically. So how they're adjusted is you'll just move this up and you'll slide it. So that's okay. It can get caught up sometimes and a little bit tricky, but it's not too bad. And so once you get into that, all you have to do is just pull the straps. Straps come up, boom, done. And then once you want to take it off, pull the strap, lift up, come out. So real easy to come in, come out of the foot pedals. All right. And then the handle it's made of plastic, but this part has a little bit of a rubber coating around it, so it's easy to hold on to and it's smooth, and so it won't mess up your hands or anything like that. But it's easy to grip, so it's real simple to grip, and you'll actually stay gripped on it, so you don't have to worry about slipping or anything like that as well. All right. Moving on to the monitor. So on the monitor, basically, there's a lot of different features on here. So if you were to press it, it lights up, LCD kind of screen. And then you have just row. So if I wanted to start rowing, I can just row right there and I can begin. Go back to here, you can select a workout. So if you want to do a new workout or a re-row, so if you were to pick a new workout, you can do distance, time, calories, or intervals. So you have a lot of different options there. And then you can press re-row if you already did it and you want to do it again. You can play games. So there's a fish game, darts, targeting, racing, which is if you have multiple people, this actually hooks up Bluetooth. So you can actually race other people. So that's a good part. That's a good little feature to have just in case you're competitive or something like that. But that's kind of the features on this rower. And if you want, you can change the display. All right, so you can have it to where it's kind of telling you multiple things at one time. You can see that it's pounds and kilograms whenever you start to row. Also your pace boat, watts, and then a bigger screen. So those are a couple of things with the monitor. I think the monitor is fantastic. This is the MP5 monitor, so you can see MP5, but this is a really good monitor. You can do a lot with it, so it has a lot of different features compared to other models and things in that nature. So I really do like the monitor on this one. Damper has your basic settings, so it goes from 0 and then all the way up to 10. So I don't think it's really any different than a lot of the other rowers. Probably a lot of the newer rowers, so the newer models and those things. So the older ones are probably slightly different, but as far as the newer one goes, they're probably the exact same. So there's nothing really too different with that. As far as the damper setting goes, and then same thing with the flywheel inside, it's about the same whenever you start to row compared to other models, the other newer models basically. Okay, so that is the Concept2 Model D rower review. So I think this is the best rowing machine that you can possibly get right now on the market, just because of the different features that it has, and most rowers don't compare to this kind. I think the Zebix rower might come pretty close to this. I think there's a few things that are different about the two that kind of set them apart, but I think that one comes pretty close. But as far as the best quality and things like that, I would say the Concept2 beats the Zebix rower just overall. So I think there's a lot of things that are really similar between the two of them, but I think this one is probably your best bet when it comes to getting a rowing machine. Pretty much the MP5 monitor sets it apart pretty well. So this is probably the best type of monitor that you can possibly get. because all the features and also what it displays and things like that and what you can do with it. But as far as everything else, it goes really well. So I'll row one more time. As you can see, it immediately starts to go. You can probably hear it right now. And it's real smooth going back and forth. You know, the chain's real smooth, so there's no getting caught up or anything like that. Flywheel's real smooth as you start to go as well. So everything that you start going back and forth, really, really smooth, right? I think the thing that is probably not as good is the seat, the comfortability of the seat. That would probably be the only thing that I would have something with, and I think the Zebix rower seat is a little bit better in that setting, but everything else pretty much the same. It comes apart right here in the middle on the handle, so you can see all you have to do is just lift this handle up and it comes right apart. You can store it. It's easy to store, it's easy to move around. It has two wheels in the front that you can pick up, roll it around, turn, all those things. So that's my complete review of the Concept2 Model D rowing machine.